Deep in the heart of North America, long before cities and roads covered the land, ancient peoples built great mounds of earth. These mounds were not just piles of dirt. They were sacred places filled with mystery and power. Among the most fascinating discoveries within these mounds are the sacred stones, carved and placed with care by hands that understood the deep connection between the earth and the spirit. This is the story of the sacred stones of the Native American mounds, a tale of faith, art, and the whispers of the past. Thousands of years ago, the native peoples of what is now the United States began constructing mounds for many reasons. Some were burial sites for their leaders, some were platforms for temples, and others were markers of important places in the land. Within these mounds they placed objects of great meaning: pottery, tools, weapons, and most importantly, stones. These were not ordinary rocks. They were carefully chosen, shaped, and sometimes carved with images that held deep spiritual significance. One of the most famous mound sites is Cahokia, near present-day St. Louis. Here, a great city once stood, with towering mounds that could be seen for miles. The people of Cahokia were master builders and artists, and among their treasures were sacred stones. Some of these stones were carved into the shapes of animals, serpents, birds, and bears. These creatures were not just decorations. They were symbols of the spirit world, guides and protectors for the living and the dead. The most mysterious of these stones are the effigy pipes. These were not just smoking pipes, but works of art, carved in the shapes of humans and animals. One famous pipe, found in a mound in Ohio, shows a man sitting cross-legged, wearing a headdress. His face is calm, his eyes closed as if in deep thought or prayer. Who was he? A chief? A shaman? A messenger between worlds? We may never know, but the stone keeps his memory alive. Further south, in the mounds of the Mississippian culture, another kind of sacred stone was found: the engraved shell or copper plates. These were often buried with important leaders, placed near their bodies as offerings or as maps to guide their souls in the afterlife. Some stones were marked with symbols that we now call the Southeastern Ceremonial Complex, a kind of sacred language of spirals, crosses, and hand and eye motifs. These symbols appear again and again across different tribes, suggesting a shared belief in something greater than themselves. Among the most powerful of these sacred stones were the medicine stones. These were not always carved, but they were believed to hold great power. Some were crystals or oddly shaped rocks that seemed to glow in the sunlight. Medicine men and women would use these stones in healing rituals, believing that they could draw sickness out of a person or bring blessings from the spirits. Even today, some Native American tribes keep these traditions alive, passing down the knowledge of sacred stones from one generation to the next. But not all sacred stones were kept hidden in mounds. Some were placed in the open as markers or altars. The Standing Stone in Tennessee was one such rock, a tall pillar where people would come to pray or leave offerings. The Cherokee called it the Guide, believing it pointed the way to the spirit world. Sadly, many of these stones were destroyed or lost when European settlers came, not understanding their importance. The story of the sacred stones is also a story of loss. Many mounds were dug up by treasure hunters or flattened to make way for farms and towns. Countless stones were taken away to museums or private collections, far from the land they were meant to protect. But some have been returned, and today many tribes are working to preserve the mounds and the stories they hold. What do these sacred stones tell us? They speak of a people who saw the world as alive, filled with spirits in every tree, river, and stone. They remind us that the earth is not just something to be used, but something to be honored. And though the hands that carved them are long gone, the stones still whisper their secrets to those who will listen. The next time you walk through a quiet forest, or stand on a hill under the open sky, remember, beneath your feet may lie the ancient mounds, and within them the sacred stones still sleeping, waiting for the day their stories will be told again. This is the legacy of the Native American mounds, a testament to faith, art, and the enduring power of stone.